Hi, I'm Pantazi, and today we're going to take a discussion. A couple days ago, a subscriber asked me a question on what the difference is between DKI and KI, or Dillman's Kyusho type actions, and Kyusho International's methods. And that video described in more detail the testing parameters that we go through, the requirements we go through, the structures that we attack, and we don't attack pressure points as example. But then the question came up, well, where did the pressure points come from? In that film I mentioned the modern adaptation of the Bubishi labels out the pressure points as the acupuncture points. So a lot of people read that and went with that. But way back when I was in Dillman's organization, we were working on nerves. We were working with more the anatomical structures. Then one of the guys, one of his higher ups and one of the original students of the Kyusho, Rick Moneymaker and Tom Muncie, two guys, they got into looking up the acupressure, and they started building a model for acupressure terms with the cycles, with the elements, with the pressure points, with the meridians, and they went into a whole explanation of it based on that paradigm. And what happened was they were getting so popular with their seminars that Dillman kicked them out. Okay, and they went off on their own and they formed DSI, or the Dragon Society, or Dragon Society International, excuse me. Now, what happened after that is Dillman, trying to get some of that marketing ability and some of that interest into his seminars and styles, started adapting to it, and everybody fell into line. Of course, the head instructor says, you do this, or this is what we're doing, you go with it. So that's one of the reasons that the pressure points came up. Now, there are other pressure point people that, or Kyusho Dimmock people out there that people follow, like Earl Montague. Now, Earl Montague is deceased, and I don't want to make this sound like a bad commentary on his work. He worked hard to promote the art, so I give him credit for that, and he tried to research it. But in the beginning, he went to a Dillman seminar, and he wrote a public article, and you can still find it. If I can find it and link it on this this video, I will. But what he did was say Kyusho isn't real. All it is they hit harder. And then all of a sudden he came out with a Dimmock encyclopedia and a series of videotapes. I don't ever believe I've seen a video where Earl Montague actually demonstrated a knockout. Some of his films, which I've seen, I've owned, okay, along with his books and whatnot, because I want to investigate everything everybody's going through. And you'd see him throw a palm as example towards someone's face, and the person goes back and is shocked, but that's where the video stops. The strike, there was no concussion, okay, and there was no effect on the person. So it's hard to tell whether he could even do it, okay, but he sure was writing books on it, all right. There are other organizations as well. Now, when we got into the levels for Kyusho, and I was explaining the Kyusho International levels compared to the Dillman promotions, I wanted to go into another detail with that. Now, the diplomas that they give out, these guys that are with Dillman, they're claiming that they're 8th Dan, 9th Dan, 10th Dan now in Kyusho, and they're not. Okay, Dillman's certificates, and I know, I own a couple of them, okay, say Dillman Karate International. There is nothing on there that depicts or describes Kyusho on that certificate. It is a karate certificate. It is not a Kyusho certificate. So there are some discrepancies that I wanted to clear up for people that asked additional questions. I got them in email because people were embarrassed. They didn't want to really like stoke up the fires like this first video might get some people upset. And that's not my intention. My intention is to explain what I saw as I was going through it, my experiences. And those were some of the experiences. So when you're doing your Kyusho work, look at the old manuscripts, how they phrased it, what terms they used, what targets they used, what tools they used, what descriptions of the effects they used, and then come into modern times. And if they don't jive in modern times, then you're just viewing something that's been adapted for whatever reasons, okay? But they are not the true mechanisms. They talked about body structures. They talked about organs, neurological shock, killing the body because the body couldn't breathe. Many different manuscripts from Fujita, Soken, Mabuni, you name it, Funakoshi. They have all depicted these. And you look back into older manuals that came out of old China, and the targets are all there, but not one of them. You have the arrow coming out here, and you got the kanji, and most people just brush that off. They don't understand what the kanji says. And the kanji is calling the name, whether it's Denko or some other name that they've picked out. And it describes an action against a physical target in the body, being an organ, a blood vessel, a nerve, causing neurological shock or hypovolemic shock, which is blood pressure related. You see the old drawings of people spitting up blood. This isn't accomplished by pressure points, all right? So anyway, that's a little bit more detail on that, on the levels, the ranking, and also the pressure points and how they came to evolve. And people now, it's very easy and mystical to use the pressure points. Very easy to point to a pressure point chart and say, you hit them here, it's triple warmer 17. As opposed to saying what artery it is, what nerve it is, what muscle structure it is, how does it relate to the internal organs, how does it ramify on the brain tissue or the heart pumping or the breathing apparatus. This is what Kyusho International gets into, not the old paradigms of pressure points. And I know there's a lot of skeptics out there that like to put us into that pressure point realm, okay, but I'm here to say that we're not there, okay? And in the beginning, when I was with Dillman, I used the pressure points because that was what you do. You got a headmaster saying, this is the paradigm, you use it. But you'll notice in my videos, even from the beginning videos on with the Budo International and others, okay, my own that haven't been released, you'll notice that there's a progression where I'm taking people from the pressure points and systematically bringing them up more and more each day into the real structures of the human anatomy, and then getting them also into the explanations of how this affects your physiology and your function in the human body. That's real Kyusho. That's what we do.